Hey everybody, this is really exciting because we're able to have a first-time rookie here with Ben, who's joined us, who's never done anything like this before. So,
Never.
Ben, just try not to be too nervous here and do it. But thanks very much for doing it. I just got to say, what MeidasTouch has done in the past few years is remarkable on so many levels. And if anybody out there isn't following them, it's extraordinary what they've done. Um, you know, three guys from Long Island. Who would have thunk it? Um, and they have been such a powerful voice. So thanks for joining us. You've been a tremendous help in kicking this thing off. And
Well, look, it's great to be here, with friends and with the Substack community of friends. And,
Yeah,
I'm such a big supporter and proponent of what you all are building with Lincoln Square and what, of course, I mean, your reputation precedes you. But I think what you're doing here with Lincoln Square is in line with the future of where everything is going. I think you'll
yeah,
find a warm and incredible community here on Substack. And we joined a MeidasTouch Substack back in September. And honestly, of kind of all of the platforms that we've used, Substack has been, either the top or right there with it. I'll say it's the top, most reliable in terms of the community, the best community out there. They've got the best team helping behind the scenes, that's for
right.
sure. And it's such a great honor and privilege to be here, and it's great.
You know, one thing, Ben, that you guys are able to do on this platform is to really cut around the sort of self-referential Washington media BS every day. Like the way that the press will cover a lot of this stuff is very both sidesy. The White House says, and the Democrats say this, and they try to like take it right up the middle. And you guys, what I've always admired about you guys is the absolute calling of the bullshit of saying, no, that wasn't a brilliant press performance by Carolyn Levitt. That was an effing disaster. I really, and I think that that is something that I'm looking forward to Substack because it has the ability for us to have those conversations with people without the bullshit that the mainstream media seems like kind of stuck in.
I think even the word politics is kind of a proxy for the bullshit in a way. You know,
that's interesting.
what I think about when people say, "Oh, you're one of the bigger political media networks out there," I go, "It's funny because I really don't like politics." At which point, my wife's like, "What are you talking? You love politics? That's all you talk about." And I go, "It's not that. It's not that." I said, "I love people. I like people. I like the connections with people and trying to help people's lives. And when people are
Sure.
being lied to, I like to deconstruct that. So, yes, I roll around in the mud politics, but I'm trying to get out of it and bring people out of it so we can have plain kind of conversations about, hey, is this hurting you or is this helping you? To me, the politics often obscures some fundamental truths and basic things, and sometimes convinces people to vote against their own interests.
You know, I do find it fascinating that a lot of people who felt helpless right after the election and who felt helpless right after the inauguration. I sense that there are more people now starting to get up off their belly and starting to stand up again in a lot of different ways in challenging what they're doing in court, in challenging what they're doing in the media, in challenging what they're doing in the streets, in challenging what they're doing, everything from people protesting peacefully at a Tesla dealership to bringing cases to the Supreme Court. That spectrum right now, it really does take something outside of the normal American media box for people to feel like they can be successful right now. You can't do this in the framework of the old Washington system.
Let me ask you this. Let me do a mic check because what people don't realize is that is the sound better right now, or does it still sound choppy? If not, I can go off the microphone. I'll listen to the comments and see if it's better. What people much better people say good. So what people don't realize also is as the oldest brother, I'm the least tech savvy by far. And so if you put me solo without my two brothers, I am as lost as you can be with almost any form of technology that exists.
Well,
So I
just
apologize.
just wait until your daughter is 5 or 6 and is explaining to you how everything works, because she'll be
How to
more.
correctly use your Elon Musk branded Neuralink.
Yeah, she'll be
Yeah.
more tech savvy than
my
any of us.
my 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 brothers are going to give me so, like, I'm sure they're watching, and they're going to be like, you see, you need us with every, you can never pull a Justin Timberlake and go solo. And I think they'll, or probably other reasons why I can't pull a Justin. Anyway, what I like about independent media, what I like about Substack, and where I think that you all are gonna thrive on Substack is just cutting through the crap. There's no filter, right? We don't need to pitch the story to a big corporate media, whatever, so that
Right.
they then write it. I mean, we can get our message out directly to the people on our Substack, on the Midas Touch Substack. We're doing multiple stories a day.
Sure.
People are hearing from me how I feel in the morning. I mean, I'm sharing with people my walks to get coffee. I'll literally walk to get coffee, and I'll call it my Sunday morning coffee chat. And I'll say, all right, here's what's on my mind. All right, I'm taking a sip of the coffee. This is making me angry. This is making me, feel hope. And I see that resonates far more than a 10,000 word, both sides Frankensteinian thing that you're going to get from, the big corporate media.
So, Ben, let me ask you, looking back at the past just 72 hours, this is almost a silly question because no one knows, but where is this headed? I mean, all, well, we're at a point where the rule of law is going to hold, or are you going to take that side and give the points, or are you going to bet that it's going to break?
Look, I think it's growing up, I used to, and this will date myself compared to my brothers, but we'll all be on the same page here. Like, you're slightly older than me. Is the choose your own adventure stories. Remember those? Where
Yeah.
you go on page 33. It's like, if you want to go through a haunted house, turn to page 67. If you want to go through the forest of whatever, go to page 93. And you'd have fun, you choose your own adventure, and then you'd wind
Right.
up with the end. We're in that right now. As I like to say, in this Trump regime, we are now, in many ways, kind of non-consenting participants of a dystopian reality show.
Mhm.
And we don't want to be in this reality show. I want to be at the park with my daughter. I want to be at lunch, with my wife. I want to, actually read a book that's not a dystopian choose your own adventure book. I want to have hobbies. I want to garden occasionally. I want, those are the things that I think about. And Trump and MAGA want us to think about, one, Trump, 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 and two, being mean and being rude and focused on all of their kind of culture war issues that are meant to divide us as people. When you look at the actual issues, America to me is far more united than divided. We're about 65% to 70% united on fundamental issues, I think, when it comes to equality, when it comes to gun control, when it comes to women's rights, when it comes to immigration. Even if you go actually
Right.
granularly ask where when it comes to people should be earning a living wage, we're not actually all that divided. So how are we such a divided country? It goes back to what we said in the beginning. I think that the politics of it obstructs and distracts and puts people into camps. Corporate media puts us on two teams, and then you have a version of a much more dangerous version of the Yankees versus the Red Sox, or the Dodgers versus the Angels, and the stakes are people's lives. and people go into their camps and root for their teams even when they're rooting for a team that would harm them. I mean, what Trump's doing to Medicaid and Social Security and people's 401ks and pensions, it would be like someone saying that they're a Boston Red Sox fan, but every time they go to a Red Sox game, the pitcher throws the ball at their face and says, and they go, ow. And then the pitcher goes, do you like that? Do you like the way that feels? Ow. And then they go, why do you keep throwing the ball? Because of the transgender people. I have to throw the ball at your face
At your
over and
face.
over again because of them. And why I'm bringing that up in response to this question and the choose your own adventure thesis is we have to stop that. You have
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
stop that. I mean, what you're going to use your platform for is to stop that. What I'm trying to use our platform for is to stop that. And when you see out there, and there was a good stat today, I think we doubled the podcast views of Rogan last month, and people are like, yeah, but that's because maybe you're political and you're Trump hating. Or people love it more than Trump hating. I go Rogan and Trump love it. I go, and he obfuscates. I mean, what he's doing, he is more political and trickier. They pretend they're comedians and into sports, and then they push the people to vote against their own interests at the end of the day, and they're working through this trap. And then it's like, now vote for the oligarchs and let me bring on Musk and Bezos and whoever. And so we have to stop that cycle, like together. And that to
I
me
think that's
is
something.
where
I think that's
that's
something,
learning.
Ben. I think that's something really important because I'm sure none of us are exact fans of Steve Bannon. I know he's not fans of ours, but Steve Bannon said the other day, he goes, all this stuff with Medicare, Medicaid, and disability is hurting Trump voters. Doesn't he get it? And the fact of the matter is they don't get it because they're being told, well, the most important thing isn't your Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, or your Affordable Care Act, which Republicans now love if it's called that, not Obamacare. The most important thing is that USAID paid $40,000 for a transgender opera in Peru, and they turn these like bullshit items from Fox essentially, or into Fox Fuel, and they build these outrages over and over and over again. Do you guys sense the same thing we do? That there's a frustration growing even among some folks, maybe not the craziest of the MAGAs, but among some folks who are just like, what is happening in my state? Why is my state getting screwed by this by Doge? Why are my people getting hurt by this? Why are farmers getting hurt by this? I see it more and more. Like, I voted for Trump. Why is this happening to me? Are you guys picking the same thing up out there that we are?
Yeah, and let me do my. I fixed the sound for a second, and now it didn't work. So I'm going to do another sound check to your audience, and to make sure that the sound is better right now than it was before. Sound picking up much better than it was. People were saying.
Sounds much
This
better.
sounds better.
And by the way, before it was a pretty good. I went on a pretty good rant about choosing. I'm upset that the sound didn't work right there. But the short answer is I think yes. I think people are feeling for sure, even in red states, that they're being played. But there's to me kind of this first mover problem where they're
Yeah.
still being told that it is normal and that this is politics. And they're still and the problem they're struggling with is they've been told that what's actually happening now was happening during Biden when it wasn't happening, and it
Right.
was fair.
Right.
And so right now their struggle to me is okay, but isn't this just what happens when new governments come in? Like all these people think there's chaos and there's craziness. Are we supposed to feel this way? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But you saw what he did. He took the terrorists to El Salvador. He stopped a terrorist attack or whatever it is. Which obviously he denied. I'm being sarcastic. I'm giving you
Right.
what their counter argument is that he seemed to have picked 200 people, declared they were gang related without due process. We don't know the story. Shipped them to El Salvador to go to concentration camps. Made a propaganda video that to me looked like an ISIS video. It looked like those ISIS videos where they threw the people on the ground, and they're like, that's tough. He saved us from the terrorists. Look, even in Hamdan versus Rumsfeld, even actual terrorists got some process
Right.
in Guantanamo Bay in a 5-3 decision because we're still a nation of laws in Guantanamo Bay post 9/11. So to me, here, this idea, there's still this thing where people are still wondering, and the dam hasn't fully broken. You see his support, it's getting lower. It's certainly not good, his support amongst independents. I think his disapproval's at like 67 to
Right.
69%. His approval amongst Republicans is still, he's got that 37%, 38%
They
magic.
don't move.
They don't move. And so he'll always be in that kind of 40-ish, that low 40. He'll be in that 37 range. He still has about, whatever that is, 25% of independents. But I think what we have to make clear to people is this is not normal. Corporate media uses a normalized lens for it. And we have to be
Sure.
like, this isn't normal. This is actually, we're not in a constitutional crisis. We're past the constitutional crisis. We're in a situation where there's now an authoritarian regime that's running like an authoritarian. Like that's what they're doing. They're doing Orban shit. And if you look at what's happening right now in Budapest, if you look at what's happening in Belgrade, if you look at
Yep.
what's happening in Tbilisi, people after a while don't like dictatorship, and they do things about it.
Yeah, there's this, the problem with the unimaginable is it's hard to imagine. And, it's often said, I would agree, it's the most dangerous period since the Civil War. But forget, even after Fort Sumter, there was a pretty much accepted consensus by both sides that this isn't going to lead to civil war. Nobody was killed. This is just a flare up. Um, and it's just sort of, I think, a particularly American reluctance to believe that what has happened in other countries couldn't happen here. This is where American exceptionalism, I think, bites us in the ass. And there is nothing magical about America that will stop this from happening when you have the complete collapse of a center right party and walking away from the Constitution. And, we talked about it earlier. It's how much of our rule of law in society is really based upon some standards of goodwill. And that's completely being torched.
Well, if you think about it too, how much, just think about contracts in general.
Right.
Contracts don't spell out every single thing. Contracts have a good faith component to the contract.
Yep.
And people sign an agreement and they stick to it, or there's litigation around it. Donald Trump's whole life has been breaking contracts. Like that's his whole thing. He signs it, he doesn't follow
Business,
it.
marriage,
Doesn't
everything.
doesn't matter. So the biggest contract that's actually very short, when I teach law school and I show people the actual length of the Constitution and I show them these amendments, I go, yeah, that's it right there. One sentence over there for that amendment. That covers all of this body of jurisprudence. Oh, everyone that talks about your freedom of speech, it's that line. When people talk about the separation of church and state, it's those 6 words. And so it's based on a good faith understanding and what it means.
Yeah.
And Trump is a bad faith actor. So a lot of people ask the question though, well, how do you, when you are a society built on good faith, which is hard, that's what made our democracy difficult,
Sure.
that it moves slow, the decisions are based on compromise. When people go to mediations in my past litigation, people don't usually leave fully happy. You kind of have to you leave a little
Right.
beaten down a little bit. And that's a democracy, but that was viewed as a positive thing. And now that's being attacked as a negative thing. And so, ultimately, the question that you'll always see, though, in the comments is, well, what do we do? Well, what can we do about it? You guys are talking. I see the podcast. I see the shows. You're talking, but what's the actual action? The first thing I think, though, is talking about it's important. And having your choir sing louder than the other choir is an important fact in and of itself. The education, the creating, like when I always say to people, how many people think that Fox News, and I put news in quotes, is an echo chamber for the right wing? Everybody raises their hand. And then I say, well, how many of you believe that they're incredibly influential in shaping discourse? Everybody raises their hand. So I go, you say they're an echo chamber, they talk about the issues, They just preach to their choir, but they are the most powerful force in politics today. Yes, 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 yes,
Sure.
yes. Okay, so if we're all trying to build the counter, if what you're building, I mean, Midas right now gets more digital views on YouTube than Fox does on
Right.
YouTube, and they're trying to be digital. So that's a step in the right direction. But then we need the audience, everybody watching, to now have these conversations with people and let them know, no, this ain't normal. We're not okay with this behavior. This isn't how we should be behaving. And then that starts to grow and take hold and take shape. I'm going to be releasing an interview today I did with Governor Bashir of
Great,
Kentucky.
great
Yeah.
guy.
Governor Bashir, by the way, what an incredible. I left that interview and I was like, and I interview a lot of people now, and I was like, whoa, we're going to release that later on our YouTube. But he is a Democratic governor in the rubiest red of states, and he's talking about, I support LGBTQ rights in
Yep.
Kentucky. In Kentucky. And he's like,
He
why?
is
Because
he
I
is
don't
he
bully
is
people.
top of the field. And I had a dinner with him about a year ago, and I walked out of it like, in 35 years in politics, once in a while you walk out of the room and you know that person has the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And 99% of them don't have the thing. He has the thing.
Yeah. And, I'm old enough to have worked some with his dad. He was no slouch either.
No,
Um,
no, that's true.
It's so funny. There was a comment. They were like, I'm out. Ben, you have to let the guest talk. I'm the guest. I'm the guest on the show today.
One thing, you
like all
mentioned
the money
before,
we're paying you, Ben,
I'm
we
the
got to
I'm
get
the
our money's
guest.
worth here.
I'm the guest today. I'm on the Lincoln Square pod. They're asking me the questions.
one of the things, Ben, I mean, you mentioned about the YouTube views that you're getting and the traffic you're moving on YouTube and on Substack. And it's something that I have been, as a guy who used to really, and Stuart and I both used to pay a lot of attention to TV ratings. So does Donald Trump, for that matter. Um, the idea that you're starting to generate more impact and eyeballs with, the three brothers and persistence going out there and talking to people about things that matter. That if I look at your traffic, you guys are easily outpacing CNN number of eyeballs CNN hits every week by without a question. I just wonder how long. I wonder what happens to big media in some ways, because they're either going to catch up with this and stop both siding the shit out of everybody, or folks like Midas and folks like Lincoln Square are gonna whip past them, because there is an audience out there. I mean, folks, we have 5,600 people on the stream right now, which a CNN producer would go, okay, that's not bad. They wouldn't be unhappy with that. And it's right now you're watching three assholes. Well, one at least. But but it just fascinates me that we are in this moment where I think Substack in particular represents this cutting of the cord that used to define how media and communications and politics worked in this country. And it really, I feel like we're in a really exciting moment, actually.
And that goes to where I gave a garbled and muffled, because of my out of battery headphones, diatribe on the Choose Your Own Adventure novel, right? Which is, this is our adventure to choose. It's a daunting moment. It
Yep.
is a scary moment with the headlines. It is also a moment, though, where I think people show what they are made of in this moment. And as I've written about on Substacks, we're going to be let down by a lot of people, and it's going to hurt. People who we
Yep.
thought were fighters are not going to be fighters. People who we thought were never going to obey run to Mar-a-Lago and obey right away. And so, and that'll hurt us because we trust these people. But then there will be people who rise up and meet the moment, and that to me is what's exciting about, for me as a lawyer, and maybe just as a person, and this may be just my pathology, I'd always get more worried and nervous about things before the thing happened. And once the thing actually happened, we were in the trenches. Like, that's
Yeah.
where I always found my hand to be kind of the steadiest and feeling, most ready to meet the moment. And sometimes, in many ways, and I'm making an admission that's just true. In many ways, I was a little more nervous before the election than actually in this moment right now, where
Interesting.
I was worried about the what ifs, and now I see it, and now that it's happening, it feels it at least feels we can beat this, that we actually can, we can actually do it. And I see what Trump does on a day to the tariffs, no tariffs, tariff. I see that as weakness. I see what's happening in Canada and what's happening in Europe. I see that as strength, and seeing people rally.
Sure.
How I mean, Keir Starmer holding the coalition of the willing, Emmanuel Macron, holding the meetings there. I see that as positive signs, and so I'm actually excited about what we can do together. And I think we're all going to meet this moment, and everybody here. It says 6,000, but that's just the front end numbers. It's actually a much bigger number too on the back end.
Right, right, right.
We can at any moment fill up a stadium at this point of people, and act, and we're going to need that, and that's what we're going to do together. So I'm super pumped about what you're building.
Well, you
You
guys
always
have been amazingly great path breakers and leaders, and we really appreciate everything you guys do. And keep jamming out that content, man, because it really, I think that in a lot of ways, you guys have had a catalyzing effect on, and I hate this word, but I'm going to use it, the resistance in this country right now to Trump and Trumpism that is just unparalleled. So really appreciate your friendship
And
and your counsel and for coming on and helping us break the seal.
Ben, just on a personal note, you've been incredibly gracious and open and helpful to us, and it's just meant the world. Because what you guys have done is really groundbreaking in a lot of ways. As you say, you've tried this, you've tried that, and you have a much better sense of what works, and you're helping others. And that's very rare, to be honest. You're not trying to pull up the ladder after you. And it's should should go with that being well noted and with appreciation.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Now, as the guest, I'll make the pitch for you all. Everybody subscribe to the Lincoln Square Substack. You see the button right up there. So hit subscribe right now. And if you want to subscribe to the MeidasTouch Substack, we won't.
Look the Midas guys up too, folks. If you're not
We'll be
already there,
we'll be okay with that. All right, thank you.
Okay,
Great seeing you both. And
thanks so
I'm
much,
so
Ben. We really
excited what you're
appreciate it.
building.
We'll talk to you again soon.
thanks, Ben.
Bye.
All right, folks. I think we're just going to keep rolling the stream now, right?
No,
Because we got 1 minute.
I think we're gonna probably end it, Rick, and start again.
Are we?
Yes, I'm being told that.
All right. Well, I didn't think so. I didn't think we had to do that. I think can't you just let our next guest in? I think there's a way to do
But we can't. We have to get Joe in. If I get out, can that happen? No, because I'm the host. See,
that. Oh,
everybody's
okay.
watching
Guys,
this.
trust us. We're actually smarter than we look. I know in my case it's really tough to believe that, but we will figure all this broadcasting business out as we go. Um, and okay.
So we're
Well,
gonna re-invite everybody.
I guess we
And
have to leave again, guys. Sorry about that. We will get this organized in a way. And most days we're not going to be streaming for an hour and a half on end, but we appreciate all of you. Like and subscribe. Do the thing. Help us support the work here. This work also helps support everything that Lincoln Project is doing in this fight as well, and keeps us at the tip of the spear in the fight against Trump and Trumpism. We'll be right back with Katie Fang.
Or just turn your phone.